Welcome to the 10 Count, the only wrestling show where you win when we count you out. I'm one of your hosts, Myron Fancher, as many people call me the Dave Hebner of Pro Referees, and I'm joined by head referee Nick Patrick McDaniel. Welcome to the 10 Count.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of the 10 Count. This one's actually, we did another one where you guys voted, so
yeah.
Hold all the nasty emails, the texts, the DMs, the Facebook messages, because we did not vote these.
Oh, you did.
You, the fans, voted these.
And a little surprise in there.
Yeah.
It was a last-minute turn.
That actually went back and forth a couple times, the one that you're talking about. Kind of surprised me a little bit. And I was really surprised by the end results on the top 10. But before we get too far, we wanted to thank you guys. I mean, there was over 1,000 votes for this bracket.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
And of course that's kind of what surprised us by the results. But when we do these guys, Brackify.com, we put the links up. It's an old school NCAA bracket style tournament. Basically, you vote your way through. And we'll keep doing more of these as we go along.
Email your suggestions for brackets too. We'd love to do that.
Absolutely. At tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Send those. We'd love to get suggestions on
Facebook,
more to do.
Twitter,
yeah, absolutely.
Time you see us at a wrestling show, write them on $20 bills. And then hand them to us.
And what's funny, man, is the ones we were getting mentioned on are some of the best ones are not like wrestling directly related.
No. Mm-mm. They're action movies typically. You don't see a lot of wrestlers doing romantic, except, the only romantic comedy I remember on the list was not rated as high because I think John Cena's Ding Dong. Well, it was covered, but I think that was off-putting to some people.
Yeah, but what I mean by that too is like when people are talking about brackets to do, some of the most received ones are not like top 10 tag teams, or it was this one
outside. Yes,
yeah, it's like favorite movie character. I've thought about things like let's do best entrance music or just weird shit like that. I think those are the ones that I think people have the most fun with.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to substantiate.
Everybody else is doing the other stuff. Let's put our Rushmore of wrestling.
Yeah.
FMK, all that other stuff. Let's play that.
Actually, that's a fun game sometimes.
I don't ever play that.
Yeah.
Tommy
Young. So let's start at the bottom. We had, we had 32 characters, so we're not going to do like we did on the last one, where we honorable mentioned the last 6 on the manager ones. Just way too many to go through. So to be blunt with you, when I printed off the first page, it cut off at 13, so we're going to give you the honorable mentions or the 3 at the bottom of the page.
11 through 13.
Pretty fair way to decide, right?
Yes.
So let's go with number 13. Speak of John Cena, John Triton from the Marine.
Now, does The Miz play the same character now?
No.
Who is the Heath Slater character?
I have no friggin' idea. I have not seen any of them past this first one.
Do they record them directly at a red box? Or do they?
They must.
Ship them there?
The Marine, actually, the sad part was, it was actually pretty good, I thought. What's the guy's name? And I'm horrible. And if I was really a great researcher like I wanted to be and did some of this research, the character who played the, Terminator and Terminator 2, he runs.
Oh, that's that guy you have, that y'all play trivia with sometimes.
Yeah, a friend of my wife's, Amy's husband. I won't give him too much of detail because everybody will know who it is. He looks just like this actor. But anyway, he's the bad guy. They actually sprung for there was a budget on this movie. They actually brought in some, legit actors. Uh-huh. So, and he's the villain in it. And, it's just by happenstance. He ends up kidnapping John Cena's character, John's wife. She smoked.
Nikki Bella?
No, not Nikki Bella. That he doesn't kidnap John Cena's hookup. He kidnaps John Triton's.
Sorry, everything's a work for me.
Everything's a work. So, but Nikki Bella was not in this. Matter of fact, Nikki Bella wasn't with John Cena at that time. John Cena was with the woman his high school sweetheart that he divorced to hook up with whoever he was hooking up with after that.
It was like a list.
Yeah, that was a list. But anyway, so that was 13.
Yeah, action movie, good solid piece.
Absolutely.
You know.
It was the big dive scene off of the boat dock when it explodes, and that was the big money scene.
Give John Cena a good solid start in the movie business.
Yeah. Now, number 12 surprised the hell out of me and really disappointed me to some degree. Morgan, Terry Funk in Roadhouse.
Your mother's a whore.
How the hell does Morgan from Roadhouse fall to 12?
That's because Roadhouse is a movie people our age watched and probably can't remember now because Patrick Swayze's dead and we're old and things go by the wayside. I forgot he was even in the movie. I remember the big fat guy and I remember the blind guy playing guitar and Patrick Swayze.
Jeff Healey.
Yes. But that's it. I forgot he was in the movie.
One of the best, is when they all meet, anyway, I'm going to get it. But there's a whole bunch of stuff in that movie that I really loved the Terry Funk character. And we got some Terry Funk shout outs on other things. But by the way, it was favorite character. You actually had to go to the brackets and votes, which I'll get into that later. Number 11. This is funny because we were at a party. I don't know if we call it a party. We were at a buddy of ours, Billy's house, watching the Georgia game, and he made the comment. He thinks that this movie, the rundown, the character Beck, by the way, The Rock Beck, is the number 11 for honorable mention. And Billy said he thought that was the best character and the best movie that The Rock's done.
I disagree, and also The Rock was a considerable portion of this poll, and oddly enough, didn't finish any higher than he did. He didn't blow it out of the water. But I love The Rock. People love The Rock. The Rock makes movies. The Rock sells movies.
Well, I mean, when I did the brackets, full disclaimer, I did try to put it to where, you at some point you would probably like The Rock or the Kevin Nash. Yeah, I mean, Rock's going to knock out a Rock, because I was trying to strategically make it to where Rock versus Rock wasn't a final, kind of thing. So that was the plan, and it appeared that it worked that way. But in hindsight, it could have hurt The Rock overall in the brackets. So that was our, big, but by the way, it is a pretty good movie. I actually watched it again the other night. It happened to be on like really late when the wife falls asleep and I was on TV. So Sean William Scott and, The Rock do a phenomenal job in that movie playing off of each other.
Is that the guy that was Pony Boy?
Sean William Scott is Stifler.
Oh, I'm thinking of,
you're thinking,
it's that C. Everett Koop or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
C. Thomas Howell.
C. Thomas
Never
Howell.
can remember that
Go.
guy.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
So let's jump to the 10. I was kind of surprised, by the way. You want to talk about a guy who was a sleeper that pulled in multiple spots. Spoiler alert. In the top 10. Guard Dunham. The Longest Yard. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well, that's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. I'm going to throw a couple tidbits in here for the movies. It was from 2005. May 27th was the release date. The movie ended up doing $158 million. Now, don't go stat checking us here in the lot. This is off of IMDb. So, clearly it was probably they probably kept up with it for the first year after it was out and haven't bothered since. So, I'm going based strictly off IMDb. I didn't Wikipedia it or anything.
Probably one of the biggest Adam Sandler movies ever.
Probably so. I mean, yeah. Now everybody was in this, which is funny. There were multiple characters we had. Great Khali was on the list. Turley, he was in the movie. We also had Kevin Nash. He was Englehart. It was a guard on the movie. And then you've got just multiple people otherwise in it. That's you had let's see, I'm trying to think. We had
just tell Kenny Bolin to stop calling during our
No,
podcast.
Romanowski. I couldn't think of his name. Romanowski from
Bill Romanowski from
49ers, Denver Broncos. He's in it. Like I said, just a bunch of people in this movie overall. Goldberg was in the movie. He was on our list in this, so.
But not in the speaking part.
No. And don't even get started until he kicked Bret Hart in the head. And you'll listen to today's episode of, or what happened when, and that'll make more sense. So anyway, he played like the fullback guard, and I thought that was pretty damn good. I think, didn't he play fullback? Wasn't that what he actually played in college, I think, or some shit? I think so.
Could have been.
Anyway, So Stone Cold Steve Austin, Guard Dunham, and The Longest Yard. I really was surprised this made the top 10.
Me too, definitely.
I mean, I never would have thought.
I think a lot of people, I hate to say it, voted more to their favorite wrestler on things than they did their favorite movie role. I'm not bashing you fans, but, that's the way it is. And people see names and you vote names. Because God knows I voted names on a couple of them. I'm like, didn't see this movie, but damn, I love The Rock. So I'm going to vote for him. So that worked for me. So.
I agree with you 100%. But, I tried to avoid voting, but I tried to stick legit to the character of the movie. And that didn't really, work out. But, let's go to the next one, man. This one surprised me that it was this low. I mean, there's a few that were really surprising that were this low. The movie was released June 2nd, 1989. Only made like $16 million.
Mm-hmm.
And it was No Holds Barred. Rip. Hulk Hogan.
That's also been a great episode of the Bruce Pritchard Show. Hulk Hogan was quite the interesting character in this movie, and it's like a special point in time where you could make that movie and you could have all that spectacle and pomp around a wrestling movie, and a guy be a wrestler but not a wrestler. He's a Hulk Hogan, play this guy, and I don't know. It's just a lot of fun. It's a guilty pleasure from that time period.
Yeah, and then just the movie was just. There's not enough cheese in Wisconsin to stack up to this movie. It was so cheesy, and they even went so far as they released it in the summer, and then they did the No Holds Barred Christmas where they had remember they had the pay-per-view where he fought Zeus, and then you could get the pay-per-view, and then you could the match and the movie.
Yes.
And they both were equally bad.
Well, Zeus was a turd as far as a wrestler. I mean, it's just and not much of an actor either. But he plays a specific part. Oh,
you got knocked the fuck out! I mean, come on, he's done some good stuff.
Oh, I loved him in Friday.
But
he's no Vincent D'Onofrio or Chris. I don't know what that other movie actor guy is.
But
Chris Elliott. I love Chris Elliott.
So Rip. I mean, I honestly would tell people, if you're asking me, I truthfully think that this one was all voted on just out of nostalgia.
Yeah, people love Hogan still. I mean, even hearing things where he's trying to get people to get him back into the WWE, which I think is a horrible mistake as a wrestler. He's 64 years old. He's still making plenty of money. Unless he's got some kind of big money debt, it's just a vanity thing. And I don't see it.
And don't want it.
No, I don't want to. Please quit bringing my childhood memories out and taking a dump on them, world. Let me have something.
Let it stay.
Yes.
Let it stay.
Just like I remember in this alcohol-soaked, concussion-riddled brain of mine.
So let's move on off of that. We'll leave on that note your concussion,
yes,
alcohol. We'll Rip. We're going to move on to Steve Austin's second character to make the list. Conrad from the movie, not to be confused with Conrad Thompson. Tommy Young. Yeah, no, it's The Condemned. This movie actually is one of my favorite WWE Studios movies.
Yes. I'm not a big WWE. I'm trying not to say anything bad about them because I love a lot of the stuff they do, but some stuff is cheesy. I did not see this one. I can't lie.
This movie, now this was kind of let's call it a direct-to-DVD. It wasn't, but it was. It did do like $7 million at the movie theater. I think it pretty much made its budget back.
Well, yeah.
And everything on the back end was for...
Well, a lot of those movies, they basically gear them to make money once they go to DVD and all that.
Right. And it's April 27th, 2007, and it was the beginning of Austin's acting. That was kind of the launching point, if you want to call it that, which he clearly talks about he's not very fond of, which is kind of funny. But this movie kind of reminded me, it was a more modern version of The Running Man. It was put them all on an island, they all kill each other. The one who survives wins his freedom.
Did they have a large fat man in a light-up suit?
They did not.
See, that's where you got me.
That one, we even get into that one. That one didn't make the list, which kind of surprised us.
That's a massive turd, in my opinion. I love that movie.
But this was like I said, I think it was a very good starting point for Austin. Lots of one-liners. He's an innocent man who's wrongly been imprisoned. He was a soldier, etc. So that character had a lot of people like, how much depth was to the character? Not a lot. I mean, it was an action movie, kind of like you said, but lots of one-liners, really, really funny. And you get the happy ending at the end. Spoiler alert. So Stone Cold Steve Austin, comes in.
Give me a happy ending of this movie.
Yeah, it's a happy ending in the movie. Absolutely. But I was really surprised.
People love Austin. That's all there is to it. People love Austin.
Yeah, like I said, I was surprised he had these two, both of the, that and the Dunham character off of Longest Yard, both in the top 10. Mm-hmm. I thought I did a better job of putting them where they would knock each other out or something, but it didn't happen. And then this one, I knew this one would be in the top 10. There was no way, but to be such a small role in a movie, and there's a couple, believe it or not, there's a couple very small characters in a movie. And again, I think it just goes back to nostalgia. We'll call it whatever. The Randy Savage appearance in Spider-Man where he played Bonesaw the wrestler.
That's a tough one. That was the only time Randy Savage was on the pole.
Right.
And while his role wasn't that big or that good, it was Randy Savage, and he's passed away, sadly, and he is somebody that snaps into the Slim Jim of our memories and just gives us something, we connect with. And I think that's probably why I finished that high. Not discounting your votes and your feelings, but that's why I voted him up high, because it's Randy Savage, and I can't remember who he was running against in the poll, but it was just some guy who wasn't Randy Savage, and, that was me.
Yeah, I mean, I had him as a 5 seed. Mm-hmm. He was the 5 seed, so, he worked his way up. And then it was actually a good cameo in a movie. I mean, how much better can you do as Randy Savage as an actor?
That was if the whole Spider-Man origin story, he was a wrestler at first. And that's how all this started. So, it's a good point. If you had to get a wrestler, why not get Randy Savage? Because he's way out there. He could have been the guy. It was something you needed.
This was blown up, juiced Randy Savage, by the way. This was older Randy Savage. I mean, he was bulked up really heavy. Had the beard and the whole. I mean, he was this was old, bulked up Randy Savage. So, but it was because like I said, they did the character right. Mm-hmm. I mean, it like you said, I mean, I'm a Spider-Man, I'm a comic guy. So yes, it was, straight to the story. But like I said, it was only in there for so short. I was hesitant to put it at a 5 seed. But it clearly seems like it did pretty well, being at a 5 seed, coming in at number 7, a little lower than, but is what it is. Then, we could jump to number 6. Man, we're flying through these. This is like super quick. So number 6, we have Hobbs. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, call him what you will. At this point, he had dropped The Rock and was now Dwayne Johnson. I put Fast and Furious series because he's been in it, I think, since 5. So yeah, there's no, he's been in a jillion movies of the Fast. I don't know how many there are now.
Well, the last movie didn't even get a number at the end of it. It's just kind of the Faster and the Furious
and sad part is I saw the damn thing.
That's the thing. Those movies come on TV so much that I have seen probably 3/4 of all the movies together, but not one all the way through start to finish.
And they've made like $1 bajillion.
Because if Ludacris is on the TV at my house, and The Rock is if it comes on any channel, if you're switching through, you see that, you stop. Just the way it is.
And he plays a badass in these movies.
Oh yeah. And he's convincing. He's a convincing badass. I mean, he was Roadblock from G.I. Joe. For Christ's sake.
Yeah. That one disappointed me a little bit. And then, yes, by the way, I got a lot of flack for, that character is not on our bracket.
Well, you can't win them all.
I mean, and then I got the grief for Baywatch, the character, from that Rock plays in Baywatch isn't on the list. I'm like, guys, how many fucking Rock movies can I put him in? I mean, I can come up with probably the first 16 and give you one.
He's bigger than anybody right now. He could be our president one day.
And he's been in freaking, like you said, I mean, he's been in so many movies at this point. I'm like, I could just go through the list and just
say The Rock.
Dwayne Johnson, Dwayne. Yeah. So, I mean, but.
And I'll vote for him. I'll vote for him president. I don't care what party he runs as. Because I can trust The Rock. Don't you feel you can trust The Rock?
Better. Anyway, we're not.
Overall genuine appeal, The Rock has it. And that's why he's half the list.
Exactly. And that's why he's Black Adam. He's, they're going to remake Jaws and he's going to be the shark. They cast Rock in anything at this point.
And it works. It sells tickets.
They just don't care if just put The Rock on it. It's going to sell. So that's good. So Hobbs at number 6, bajillion dollars made. God knows how many. He's been in 4 or 5 of the movies at this point. Who the hell knows? But he, like you said, he does have to come off and, to go toe to toe, as far as with the characters that are in there now.
He's a solid action hero.
Oh yeah. I mean, he goes at Vin Diesel, Jason Statham has been in them now at this point. I think Bruce Willis has done them, I think at this point.
I think he's about as big and as over as an action star you can get working today.
He's Arnold.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, he's
during that run Arnold had where he was in every movie.
When he was Running Man, Terminator, Predator, all that, when you wanted an action movie, put Arnold in. Now I think Rock's become that guy. We need an action movie and we want it to make a, bajillion dollars, put The Rock in it, it'll do, because guys love him.
And women love him.
Women love him even more. So hey, if taking your wife to see The Rock during a movie,
it's a good way to get to go see a good movie that you'd like to see because The Rock's in it, and
your wife wants to see.
Yeah, she loves anything with The Rock in it. Yeah, Melissa will she'll drive me to the theater to see that shit. So it don't matter.
So hey, go see him. It usually gets them worked up enough. Is all I'm going to say.
Yep, does the business.
Takes care of business for you. Well, let's move into the top 5.
What you got?
Number 5, 1987, January 12th to be exact. The movie hauled in $60 million. He was not the main actor in the movie, by the way, but he played a damn good role in it. It is Jesse Ventura playing Blaine in The Predator, the original Predator.
Very memorable role. Very memorable role. The minigun he carried, the attitude he had through the movie, classic.
Best line in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Remember?
What if it breathes, we can kill it?
You're bleeding. I ain't got time to bleed.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean.
Schwarzenegger said that line, the other line. But, personally, I liked him in Running Man better because he was more charismatic and he played that Jesse Ventura-esque character. The Predator, though, phenomenal movie, phenomenal role. Think of all the guys that were in that. Carl Weathers, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura. There were more.
Yeah. And when I say this, the Native American guy, the character that he was in, he's been in a bunch of other stuff and I just couldn't remember his name. But yeah, the movie's
But
really
if you say
stacked.
Jesse Ventura and Predator, I still remember him holding the minigun. It just clicks right back into my memory just like that.
And like I said, everybody remembers the classic "I ain't got time to bleed" line. And that was kind of, it wasn't really his, hell, I don't know. Actually, I didn't do it. I didn't check this out. That was like one of his early things. And I mean, I thought he did really well in it. And it kind of showed, that was actually really early as far as any wrestlers, in movies per se. We're about to hit into one that was before that. But as far as making it, crossing over and doing the big movies, I think that was probably one of the first ones to legit, have wrestlers make it.
Yeah.
Arnold
was pretty much flirting around with the WWE at the time, not as a wrestler, but as a bodybuilder, which was huge. And a character, didn't he come on to some of the wrestling stuff?
Oh yeah, he's been on. He even like Patton later in the days, he had popped in and, like the guest GM spots and that kind of stuff. But a lot of it has to do with, with Jesse, kind of when he slides over, and I think that kind of brought him in. But Arnold, I thought, was always a wrestling fan anyway. So for him to, somehow get Jesse Ventura in there, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But Blaine and Predator, hands down, one tough son of a bitch character, and I thought he did a really good job on it. And to be a 10 seed, I had it down pretty far. I mean, it's, in my opinion, to be a 10 seed, to come up, finish top 5, I thought was really, really solid. But now, we kind of knew we were getting to these top ones. Hey, these were going to be close. Some were going to be nostalgia. Some were going to be what we considered like really, really earned. So to see where they fell, we're going to be kind of, I think that, to put it to you bluntly, the top 4, I had them all seeded as top 4s.
Makes sense.
So I didn't miss this one by too much. Now, I will tell you this. They did not finish in the order that I had them seeded.
No,
so
definitely number 3 I did not see, and definitely number 4 either. 1 and 2 I knew would be in the top 2, but
yeah, no, I just because I went off of what I figured our fans would vote, and so I got the top 4 seeds, like I said, correct, but just didn't think that they would go in the exact order. So let's go with number 4, and number 4. May 28th, 1982, hauling in $123 million. Once again, was not the main star in the movie. But
well, I mean, in that movie, there's only one star and everybody else. Even this guy is secondary.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, we're talking Rocky 3, of course, where you got Hulk Hogan, Thunder Lips. This whole bit was hilarious to me. That you had the wrestler versus boxer, which we had at this point, a few times over in wrestling.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that he comes out like it's a shoot, and Hogan's like beating the hell out of him, and he's like, whoa, and then they get into it, and then of course they're buddied up at the end of the match, patting each other, loving on each other, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But that was, I think, that was the beginning of the Hulk Hogan Sylvester Stallone love, if you want to call it that, growing to the point that Sylvester Stallone inducted Hulk Hogan into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Definitely.
So,
it put wrestling over in the movie business.
Yeah.
That was the big knock for it.
And I know it's not the beginning of it, but that, like I said, 82, that was the beginning of wrestlers sliding over into the acting world.
That's where it was starting. The whole rock and wrestling thing was hot. Sylvester's mom was involved in some stuff.
Mm-hmm. She was involved in Glow.
But I think she also was a little bit backstage in the rock and wrestling thing. So it was a big deal. It was a big time. It was a great time to be alive and a great time to be a wrestling fan.
And just with Sylvester Stallone just being obviously clearly a supporter of wrestling because he was a fan, obviously. But then, like you said, for Hogan to jump over, and there's all these stories about how it happened and who made it happen, whatever. We don't care. We were voting for which character do we love the most, and Thunder Lips comes in at number 4. I did have that as the 4 seed, so I pretty much nailed that one exactly where I guessed, where I thought it would be. Number 3 was a number 2 seed, and now I tell you this, I put it as a 2 seed, and I'll tell you why once I give away these stats. It's Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, the series. Now, obviously, there have been 2 movies at this point. They've made like $700-800 million between the 2 movies. I mean, it's a ton of money. I thought Dave Bautista was like off the charts good in the first movie.
He killed it. Very believable. Very solid character. You don't really see. I didn't see that coming because honestly, never been the world's biggest Bautista fan, but he hit Drax out of the park.
Easily. I mean, it shocked me how good he was.
Yeah. Definitely.
And, and I know he's gone on and he's done, the Bond movie, which I thought, he didn't speak. Except, I'll spoiler, he does speak at one point. But, he knocked that out of the park. So he's gone on to be a really good actor, I think.
Yeah.
But I just think he was born to play this character, the dry, sarcastic, or what's the, everything is like there's no sarcasm.
Everything's literal.
Yeah, he's literal to a fault in the movies.
Yeah, I love that.
And so, and his the whole relationship with him and with Groot, it's with Baby Groot, especially if you've seen the second one. Just like I said, I mean, he nailed this role. Was born to play this role, and to think he's not freaking done with his role.
Yeah.
We're going to see him, and clearly at this point we've all heard that he's going to be in the Infinity War movies. The Guardians are going to be in it, so I would assume he's in it. And I believe he was in the filming in Atlanta, so I believe that's, if I'm not mistaken, he's going to get paid.
Yeah.
So
he's going to get paid, and he's getting to play a Marvel Comics character.
That nobody fucking knew who these characters were until this movie came out.
No, and that movie was the all-time runaway surprise hit for Marvel. Everybody knew the other stuff, but the Guardians of the Galaxy was a fringe franchise for them. So,
dude, I'm a comic guy, and I had never read their stuff.
I knew Rocket Raccoon. That's all I knew.
Right.
And I was a huge Rocket Raccoon fan because I had the series as a kid, and we had pet raccoons as kids. So I loved Rocket Raccoon, but never really was familiar with the other guys except for occasionally picking up an issue that they happen to cross over into.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I'm like, and when I say I don't know who I didn't have a in-depth knowledge. If you said, "Oh, have you heard of Guardians of the Galaxy?" Yeah, I know. I've heard of them.
Yeah.
But to say like, "Oh, who are they?" I'm like, hell, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell you from it. And that's, like I said, that's coming from a comic guy.
Yeah.
But for them to knock it out of the park with this movie was just like surprising. And it was, like you said, it might be one of my favorite ones because I had the lowest expectations out of any of the movies.
Yes, I agree with you about that. I went just to go because it was a Marvel movie, so I'm going to go. And was really, really surprised, really happy with that movie. And, who knows? It was a good thing. Marvel knows how to put enough humor in their movies to sell them and enough drama in their movies to make it get over. DC probably ought to pay a little bit of attention to that, in my opinion, but that's, neither here nor there.
You're just a podcaster, man. You're not making
I'm not a podcaster, and I'm not a Marvel Comics podcaster, or I'm a movie writer, or I don't work for Disney.
Exactly. But anyway, so Drax at number 3, I had it as the 3 seed.
Loved it.
So, no, I actually had Drax as a 2 seed. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And it was because of the $700 bajillion that the movies have made. So
yes.
I thought it might sneak in.
Well, that's one of the few movies I have bought memorabilia from that's on this list.
Posters up literally in the next room from us. It's on the wall. So,
actually,
in the movie room. I've got I got all the,
Nick has a really killer movie room here.
I just have, the movie posters on the wall, and I put up recently, I just put the comic book ones back up. And Guardians is one of them that I invested in because I was like, like I said, it's one of the best ones there. So, but now we're going to come to the controversial 2.
Flip-flops.
I don't know how to do it other than just say it, right? So we just all assumed that number 1 and number 2 were going to fall into normal place.
Yes.
But it did not happen. So let's go ahead and, obviously, when we give 2, you'll probably figure out who number 1 is.
Yes.
But number 2, October 9th, 1987, movie brought in $31 million. Again, he ain't the main star, but he was the star of this movie. Andre the Giant and the Princess Bride.
Love Andre. Didn't like the movie.
You didn't like the movie?
Didn't like the movie. Of course, the problem with me seeing the movie is I watched it in 2015. Never seeing it.
Gotcha.
And it does not sit well with someone who sees it for the first time in 2015. That's just my take on it. But I loved Andre. Because he's Andre, the man.
Well, the good thing is the movie could be the shits. And we struggled on this. And now that we're at this point, I'll address this in the poll. One of the challenges that I faced is I told people to go vote, and they kept replying their votes on Twitter, which I was like, no, you got to vote on Brackify. Yeah. The second part of it was everybody was giving me movies, and I'm like, okay, again, I'm not asking you for the movie. I'm asking you for the character in the movie. And the reason I think that's important is because of something you just said. You didn't like the movie, but you love the character. So you could think a movie's the shit.
Yeah.
But like the character, and it would still kind of watch. So I wonder if some of this is where people got into, like as you were going down our list, is that something that people lost? Yeah. Is they were hung up on like, well, I didn't like the movie, so like the character was cool. Maybe. But Andre the Giant, man, is,
And biggest money earners weren't the winners.
Right.
They may have earned money down the road, but not at the box office.
Yeah. But Andre is the man. Like you said, the character's funny. It's a classic. Yeah. I could see where you're saying that watching the movie now, is the movie as good now as it was then? Especially if you've never seen it.
Yeah. Had I seen it when it came out in 87 and I was 13, No, 15. It would have been a lot different. I really believe 100% it would have been a lot different.
And you would have, the thing is that then you would have taken your love for it then to now.
Well, Jesus Christ, Running Man. I have not seen Running Man since it came out. But it's just pinned right there in my memory, the way it was.
And you'll watch it now and go, God, this movie sucks. Yeah. So maybe that's why it's best you don't watch it again.
And that's another thing about the number one choice. I just watched it again the other day.
Yeah, I mean, so let me finish up with, I do love the character Andre played. It was it was the big lovable giant. Everybody on set, you always heard, everything you read about it. Everybody loved Andre on the set. He was the big lovable giant. Everybody, and let's be blunt, that ain't always true. I always tell people, and I'm gonna get some heat for this, I'm sure. You always hear the stories about the guys that Andre didn't like.
Yeah.
There's some guys in wrestling and that say that he wasn't the nicest guy on the planet. If he didn't like you, he could be a dick. So, yeah, but in this movie, we don't hear that.
No.
Everybody talked about how great he was, and maybe it's because Andre was out of his element.
Could be. And he wasn't in competition. You got to realize, he may not have been nice to people that he thought were pulling his spot. And as he got older, he got less able to wrestle effectively because of his disease, and it was harder and harder for him, and so he felt more protective of his spot. And in those days, you had to protect your spot. And Hollywood was something different, and maybe he was more open at the time.
Maybe. So, Fezzik, Andre the Giant, Princess Bride, number 2, which of course only can leave, because if this one didn't make top 10, I'd be floored.
I'm here to record podcasts and chew bubblegum.
And you're all out of bubblegum.
Yes.
Yeah. So, the funny part is he's referred to as John Nada because you know what? They don't actually give his name.
Yep.
In the movie. And of course it is Roddy Piper in the movie They Live.
Some of the most epic one-liners in movie history. I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum. It was a great movie. A lot of action. Very engrossing in that whole society is out to get you, or maybe everything's being run by somebody else and there's an underground. It's a really, really good piece. I watched it again. Where it stunk the other day was the fact that it wasn't shot as well and the special effects weren't that special. But
they were just effects.
Yeah, they were just effects. They were kind of sort of effects. But it was a good movie, It was a good movie, and Piper is still the best. He's was just amazing.
It did $13 million. The budget I think was 7 or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I was reading it. So it made money, but it's one of those, came out in 1988, November 4th to be exact. But let's be honest with you. It's one of those cult classics. You always hear that term thrown around. Mm-hmm. And the damn thing is just because it's been on TBS, TNT, God knows what, Stars, movie channels, floating around, all of those kind of things, and DVD.
It's a solid movie that wrestling fans would watch. And the people that voted in this poll were wrestling fans. So they voted on movies wrestling fans would watch. Because you see like John Cena in Trainwreck, which I thought was a phenomenal movie. And I thought John Cena did great. That might not be a movie wrestling fans would watch.
Right.
One, it was R. And John Cena has a child's wrestling appearance. He appeals to a younger wrestling demographic than R movies. So that could have been the reason,
I'm going to give you a little bit of juicy information, and I don't even know how this juicy piece of information in my brain, because I did not look this up. I just know this because I'd heard this before watching this, and this is going to be useless information to write this down. For one, the fight scene in the movie between him and the other guy, the
brutal scene, in the
where
alley.
they fight in the alleyway, by the way, was one of the longest fight scenes in a movie ever. Not like a boxing, they don't count those. I mean, like fight scenes in a movie forever.
Yeah.
The fight scene would go on to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Replicated, redone, whatever you want to call it. And I'm trying to see if you know where this was used at. It was used in something that I can't even believe that I know that they used this, because I haven't watched this show in forever, but I've watched it for this episode. And I'm going to use a term here in a minute that I don't like to use, but it is actually what they called it in the show. They reenacted the fight scene in South Park. because the guys on South Park were fans of this movie. And yes, it's the cripple fight.
Oh my God.
Timmy and Jimmy's fight.
That's what that was?
It's replicated off of the fight scene in They Live.
Holy shit.
If you actually take them and put them side by side and play them, they mimic each other.
That's insane.
And I know this just because I believe it was Trey Parker was on a show that I watched, and they were talking about this.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, that show also went on to inspire basically an entire, how many years of TV with all the different sci-fi series that were based V. And, there was one on just not long ago where it was that kind of thing where society take over. And it's a constant theme that has pervaded through science fiction ever since this movie came out. It was groundbreaking. It was ahead of its time. It was a lot of fun.
I agree. And it's still, this movie does hold up. I mean, when I say that, I never thought the movie was the greatest movie ever. It's just a good, solid movie. It's like those B- movies.
Yeah.
I don't mean it's a B movie, but I mean if I grade it, I always say, it's about a B-. Piper does a really good job in it.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I just didn't, think, it's the greatest movie ever. But if you see it now, it's as good now as it was when you saw it back then.
Yeah.
It's no better. It's no worse. It is what you thought it was.
Yeah.
And I think he does, he did, a really good role, especially, and I don't mean that especially as a wrestler, but this is kind of when he came back and he was like, to wrestling, he came back after this and was kind of like, I'm an actor. Like he thought he was, and I think he thought that was going to launch his career to go on and to be a big actor, which obviously didn't happen that much. But he did, this role, like I said, I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Well, that's the top 10, man. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say because, I mean, like I said, we didn't vote this list. I mean,
we just comment on it.
I gave you 32 options. I mean, I gave you 32 brackets on, yes, I understand I got knocked on not having this guy, but I only had 32 slots. I mean, and I was trying to go some old stuff. So, I mean, I put a freaking George the Animal Steel character, in a movie and, so it wasn't like I wasn't reaching to try to even, the old crowd, the young crowd. But Baywatch I just thought was too new. I mean, Baywatch had literally it's been out for like a week, I think, or maybe two on DVD when when we're recording this episode. So it wasn't really like, that it's been around forever. So,
and I think a lot of people shit on that movie when it came out, but I've heard it was really good.
I've seen it. I thought it was pretty funny. So like I said, it wasn't like I didn't think that character. Okay, wait a minute. The movie was funny, but I don't think the character warrants it being on this list. But maybe it's because he hadn't been around long enough.
Yeah.
It could be.
It'll work up. That movie will get a lot of replay.
Yeah. And so, I mean, hey, if you disagree with the list, I mean, like I said, don't take us to task for it. I mean, your voice could have been heard. You could have went on and you could have voted on brackify.com and you could have, and the sad part is you can vote multiple times.
Yeah.
You just got to wait like 10 minutes or some shit and you can vote again and you can help get your guy to the, all the votes and stuff. So
it's a great little website. I don't normally recommend websites besides tap.wrestlingpodcast.com, but it's a good website.
I mean, it's a great way to do little brackets. I mean, we use it just for, for this, and it's super easy to set it up, to do it, tracks everything for you, gives you the results. I mean, so that's why we choose to use it. And like I said, we don't typically plug websites, but brackify.com is who we use to do the tournament. So it seems to work, and we'll do another one here soon. But if you have any feedback on this one, of course, like I said, we can do our new way is simple, right? Twitter, Tapped Out Pod. Facebook, it's tapped.wrestlingpodcast.com. The email now we have changed. It's tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Makes it simple. A lot of people complained about the lengthy email, which trust me, I know I type it a lot.
Yeah, it's a hell of a log into the website.
So log into that website multiple times a day. So tappedoutpod@gmail.com. DM, on Twitter, Tapped Out Pod. You can find us Facebook is Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. We're on Instagram, Tapped Out Pod. Snapchat's Tapped Out Pod. I try to make Tapped Out Pod everything except for Facebook at this point.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working because
Facebook is our first real social media presence that we tried.
Well, the problem with Facebook is you type in your whole damn name to find your page. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so that's why if you just type in Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast, you find us. So give us any feedback. I mean, and don't bash us. Like I said, we didn't vote for this. I mean, we just gave you some choice. We gave you 32 choices. So don't go in there bashing in the sense of just give us your opinion and say, give us your top 10.
Yep.
I mean, list them down in the order that you would, you know, or something. And that's fine. Just let us know what you thought. Say, hey, I listened to the episode. These are my top 10. Put them on our Facebook wall, whatever. Do all that good stuff. And then, you know, the challenge becomes, hey, we got to do the show again. Start spitting out some topics. I mean, because the last thing you
come
want
up with something for us.
Yeah, trust me. This idea popped into my head. God knows how. I can't even remember. I was browsing the internet. It popped into my head.
It was on the toilet.
No, I was online. I promise. Anyway, so if you got any suggestions for the next top 10 list, all the mentioned places you can find us. Send us those suggestions
Top 10
as well.
Barbarian matches.
Who's Barbarians?
Yeah.
Tommy Young.
Sorry, Conrad. I hate to keep ripping you off, man.
Yeah.
But I caught myself walking down the steps at my house yesterday going, Tommy Young. I'm pretty sure my neighbors heard it.
Yeah. And then, you know, we always ask you to do some couple things. Check us out at tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com. That is the website. Media player in the middle. Choice of selections of where to hear us on. You can find us on, of course, iTunes. You can find us on Google Play. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us on TuneIn, Player FM, Overcast, blah, blah, blah.
And what was the new one?
The new one, yeah, I wanted to address that. We just, like, literally the day before this, you know, recording this episode at like midnight of all things, I get an email. We are now on iHeartRadio.
That's a pretty big deal.
I agree.
I'm real pleased with that.
So check us out. If iHeartRadio is your, you know, place you listen to music and do all that good stuff.
Pop in a podcast.
Yeah, take a break from your music.
Pop the pod.
Put
Enjoy
in a
it.
Tapped Out pod.
Yeah, we got a lot of great stuff out there, folks. I really appreciate everybody that listens to it. And I want to thank y'all. And I don't know if you can understand how much it means to me that y'all listen to this and our shenanigans and the things we do. We work really hard at that. And the feedback you give us and the follows and the likes and the listens is so very flattering. Thank you.
I 100% agree. And that's what we tell people is like, don't just, make sure you find us, whatever your choice of where you want to listen to us. iTunes, Google Play, all that good stuff. Subscribe to us. Give us a review, 5-star rating review. We prefer if let us know how, if you do enjoy the show, let us know, man. We always tell you, always interact with us on Twitter or Facebook. We do have our fight contest, which I'm about to plug the fight app as well. We always say, hey, get the fight app. It's on the link's on our website. You can also, we put it up pretty regularly because we're plugging shows, every few days that they have on the fight app. The other day I hyped, there's a UFC 215 fight coming up pretty soon. And I went ahead and plugged that because that's a pretty damn good looking card. So download the app
Definitely.
with our link. That's the key part is if you want to support us, use our link and download the fight app.
It is pretty much the WWE network for indie wrestling and other combat sports.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, MMA, boxing, you name it. And then a lot of indie wrestling. Our buddies out at Rocky Mountain Pro are on there. Mm-hmm. Ring of Honor is on there.
A lot of women's wrestling's on there.
Yep. Rise is coming to that, right?
I think they're going to be doing their show on there. I'm really not 100% certain.
Okay, so we won't say that they are yet, even though I think I just kind of did, but I don't think they are.
Well, sort of.
But Rockstar Pro's on there. Lots of other promotions. Check them out. Impact Wrestling does their pay-per-views on there as well. So, New Japan, All Japan, or not New Japan, All Japan does some of their, both Japan. No, I think it's just All Japan. Does some of their pay-per-views on there. Some really cool stuff. And then, for what I was going through that is all of the interaction you guys give us on Twitter and on Facebook and stuff. We basically take what we call our fan of the week and we do a $20 credit on the fight app. Mm-hmm. So you can put that towards a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, Impact pay-per-view, or one of these super indie pay-per-views that they have on there. Yep. Milestone 7's coming up soon. Yep. I went out and saw the recording of it. I'm dying to see that show. I can't wait. Yeah. So, all that money that, that credit we'll put towards that. So definitely, like I said, you want to interact with us and the ones who win every week can tell you, we get it out to you pretty quick so you can use it. And then of course, we also have others, Amazon.com, that link, our Amazon affiliate link is on our website. We promote it every so often on Twitter, Facebook, obviously as well. Use that. It's a real simple way to help support the show. And guess what? It doesn't cost you a freaking dime.
Nope. they just know that we're directing traffic to them, and people are going through us, so it gives us credibility with Amazon, and then they kick us some money back, and we put that into the server fees, and we put that into the advertisements and the business cards and the T-shirts and traveling from town to town and all that other great stuff we get to do.
Yeah, exactly. So it helps give us a little referral fee, help support the show. You're buying stuff there anyway. It's not like we're asking you to buy things in particular.
Groceries.
Yeah, you're buying whatever.
You're
dog food.
Yeah, you're going to be able to live off Amazon.
So do that. And that, we'd appreciate that. And then, of course, we got blueapron.com. The website's, on the website, the little banner's there. Click on it. They've got several promotions you can use right out of the gate. It's either like a free meal if you're doing one of the smaller packages. If you're doing one of the bigger packages, like the week, it's like $30 off. So there's different ones. So check out, which one works best for you.
Fresh food delivered right to your house with all the directions for easy prep. Wonderful tasting stuff. You got to try this, people.
Yeah, the food's really good. I mean, check it out. It's a no-brainer in my opinion. So try it out, and blueapron.com. We're big supporters of those guys. And then, of course, last but not least, ProWrestlingTees.com.
Yes.
Check us out. Search Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast.
Yep.
Buy a T-shirt. Help support the cause. I mean, we'd appreciate it.
I'll make more funny pictures.
And more shirts are coming, actually. Believe it or not, I've been tinkering around and designing a couple. So they're coming out here pretty soon. So keep an eye out for those as well over at ProWrestlingTees.com.
Yep. When you listen to this show on Wednesday, the next day, head on out. If you're in the Georgia area, head out to Southern Fried. Catch their big Thursday night show. If you're not in the Georgia area, find yourself an indie show and go to this weekend. You'll see some of the best wrestling and the nicest people. But Southern Fried's got a giant promotion running Thursday in Monroe. Look up Southern Fried on Facebook or Twitter at Get Fried, Georgia. They'll give you the card and where to go for one of the best shows coming up. We got Fred Yehai and Gary J in the main event. We got O'Shea and Logan Creed. We got Jim Nasty. We got 13th Floor. We've got the Ugly Ducklings. It's a stacked card.
For a Thursday show, it is really, really stacked. I agree. And we will definitely be there. We wouldn't miss this show for anything. Cause, it's the next to last match with friend of the show with Terry Lawler. And then, of course, this weekend and Saturday in Rome, Georgia, is his last match versus Do or Die Chip Day, or as we affectionately, know him as Chip Effin' Day.
Yes.
From AWE Wrestling Around. So
and
we're going to be busy.
Can't say enough about Terry. I haven't known Terry as long as Nick has. I just met him this year when we were starting the live aspect of our podcast and going out to shows, and he's been the super guy to us, and he's been really good to us, and I can't thank you enough. Congratulations on a wonderful career, Terry. Good luck in your retirement.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things I wanted before we get out of here. I wanted to say, I've known the guy for a long time. It's a long time coming for, 20 something years ago, sitting at a lunch table, talking about wrestling to he's had one of the best careers in Georgia, Georgia wrestling. I mean, everybody knows him. He is a true legend in Georgia, when it comes to independent wrestling. And couldn't say anything bad about the guy if he wanted to. Goes out of his way to help anybody and everybody. And then of course, works. Happy he's going out on his terms, walking away when he wants to. And, it is what it is, but, we're proud. I'm proud to know him, just the saying I know the guy. So hopefully it's, it's all good.
He's been super good to us.
Absolutely. So with that being said, man, let's wrap up. And what time is it?
Time to tap out.